Open world maps are always full of interesting things, but sometimes the interesting points aren't necessarily points of interest. Sometimes they're old homes that chill your bones. I'm Fox, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 10 strangely creepy houses found in open world games. Starting off at number 10, it's the creepy Volga house from Metro Exodus. Now, this list isn't about places that are horrific or terrifying or the most scary things ever. No, today we're looking at places that take a moment to sink in just how creepy they are. And like they hit you a little unexpectedly because you're in a huge open world. And a lot of these games do have horrific elements. These places are usually abandoned and empty. Sometimes they don't even have anything dangerous in them. But by the very nature of these randomly spooky places being in an open world game, they're a lot more memorable. That's especially true when it's 2 a.m. and you're in the gamer days, if you know what I mean. Those times where you sort of zone out playing an open world game, just wandering around collecting stuff mindlessly. Then you suddenly notice this random place you wandered into, it's not right somehow. And you sort of sit up and take notice. These places, they're never going to be the scariest locations in games, ever. But they manage to be memorable because they feel like places you randomly stumbled into and that you really shouldn't be in. The unnamed house in the first open world region of Metro Exodus is probably the perfect example. It's an abandoned structure in the south central section of the map. When you go inside, it seems like your generic loot house, but as you explore, the amount of skeletons just keeps piling up. There are people dead in chairs, some are falling over, some are just slumped down in place. Further into the house, there's a corpse of a guy who hung himself. That stands out because all the other corpses look like they died instantly, but this guy had to have still been alive, so maybe something a little more unpleasant happened here. There's only a few things to loot, so it's not really a lot to find, but on your way out, suddenly you start seeing these visions of people living in the house alive and happy. It's a little eerie, but then the radiation levels start increasing, so you got to put a gas mask on. It's weird enough, but it really goes into the strangely creepy area when you put the mask on, but suddenly there's a 6-hour time skip. So what happened? Did you guys silently stand there for 6 hours or what? This place is already creepy, but that hidden little detail makes this location legitimately unsettling. At number 9 is Mad Max, the Hidden Dunes house. Most random loot locations in Mad Max aren't exactly memorable, but this one really stands out both for its uniqueness in the setting and just how hidden it actually is. In an extremely easy to miss spot in the middle of the empty desert area of the map, there's some random bits of shelter and a ladder that leads underground. Going down there, you think you're finding a bunker or maybe a submerged shipping container or something. But as you progress through the tunnel, you find there's actually a broken wooden wall, which leads to this extremely creepy abandoned house that's practically trapped in time. It's an entire suburban house just buried under the sand. You enter through the wall into the children's room that connects to the master bedroom. The only sign of life in the area is this dead raider on top of a bloody bed and a skeleton in the bathtub. Leaving the room, you can actually go down the stairs in the main hall. There's a couple rooms to explore. It's super eerie going through this house because there's nothing like this in the entire game. In Fallout, these kinds of houses are a dime a dozen, but in Mad Max, you almost never see the remnants of the old world like this. Everything is either a pile of industrial scrap or completely obliterated, so seeing a lot of these details is very surreal. There's no enemies, no ghosts or jump scares of any kind, just an atmospheric and unsettling location with a lot of creepy little details. At number 8 is Red Dead Redemption 2's Osmond Grove. There's so much creepy stuff hiding away in the unexplored places in Red Dead 2, and I've talked about a lot of it over the years, but there's one mundanely disturbing location I've never actually gotten the chance to bring up, so what better time than the present? In New Hanover, east and just slightly south from Emerald Station, there's an innocuous little stone cabin that the game calls Osmond Grove. It's a place you can easily pass by a dozen times without thinking twice about it, but for the people who have actually bothered to check the place out, there's an unpleasant surprise waiting inside. To get inside, the door has to be forced open, and the inside is a grisly sight. An An entire family of corpses slumped over, as if they died suddenly and unexpectedly. There's a father at the dinner table, mother on the floor, grandfather up in the loft, and the most disturbing thing here is the child slumped over a rocking horse and the grandmother behind him on a rocking chair. The whole place is filled up with smoke, and if you look around, you'll notice that the furnace pipe is busted, filling the room with smoke that obviously must have suffocated the family. It's a disturbing scene, made somehow worse by the lack of any supernatural influence. It's just a tragic thing that happened, and that's all that there is to it. Nobody even knows that this family died, and they could remain here undiscovered for years for all you know. Imagine if some house you drove past every day just had a dead family in it and you just never noticed. There's something so creepy about this just being there, and if you hadn't bothered to check it out, you'd never know. At number 7 is Starfield, the Calander. This location is a little more guided. It's more of a type of thing you'd expect from a creepy location list. But it's so easy to miss that to me at least, it still stands out. In the Schrodinger system, you can find an abandoned ship orbiting Schrodinger 3. When you enter, it's clear that this was some kind of large science vessel that people had been living in for a while. But as you explore, there's no trace of any actual human beings anywhere, at least at first. It doesn't take long to start finding mysterious notes detailing some kind of dangerous creature they brought on board to study. The ship is dark and foreboding. It's the sort of creepy location you rarely actually run into in Starfield. There aren't that many places like this, so regardless of if you find it early or late, it stands out, just because these kinds of abandoned ships in the game are really rare. The way this place builds tension is absolutely excellent. You might notice some creature skittering around in the corner of your eye, but it's not until the end that you finally get a look at the thing.
You can succeed at that before we are discovered.
And it's pretty dangerous. The creature can mess you up if you're not prepared for it. There's no quest, no big reward, just a nasty alien monster that ambushes you after perfect buildup of tension. Yes, calling this a house is a bit of a stretch, but it's a spaceship that people lived on. There's signs of life everywhere, so I think it fits. What other chance do I have to talk about one of Starfield's best points of interest, might I add? At number 6 is Mafia 3. You can come in, but you can never come out. It's like the Eagles song, Hotel California. In the southwest corner of the map, deep in the bayou, there's an unmarked compound. Getting inside is easy, at least it used to be. For whatever reason, I seem to not be able to get in there anymore. Maybe they patched it. Maybe it's actually tied to a DLC. I don't know. But you used to be able to enter this place by entering this burned down building and climbing down some stairs, then jumping over a wall. Nothing particularly creepy about this place. Well, the burned down building beside it is a little suspect, but the actual compound isn't anything to write home about. Until you turn around to leave and realize there is no way out. All the doors are locked, all the gates are closed, there is no way out of this place. You are trapped forever. Well, at least until you load a save. But still, there's something unsettling about an unmarked, unknown area that seems like it would be important in some way, but just isn't. Places like that make your mind wander, thinking about what these places could be for and what purpose they serve. When the game first came out, it was nothing. It was just a weird and mysterious place, hidden deep down in a section of the map that's already underserved. The entire bayou in Mafia 3 feels like cut content or something. It's a huge area with almost nothing in it other than a few main game missions and a race or two. So actually finding something down here is interesting enough. When you go in and can't come out, that makes it creepy. I'm almost certain this place is related to a mission in the Sign of Times DLC, so that's probably what it's for, but the rest of it's still creepy. Maybe it's just memories of getting stuck here that makes it linger in my mind, but we've all experienced something like that in open world games, right? Maybe it's just me. And number 5 is Animal Well, the house. So Animal Well. It's more of a puzzle Metroidvania than a true open world game, but you can tackle its challenges in any order, making it more open than a lot of games of its type. But the real important thing here is it has one of the most weirdly creepy houses in any game. So, you know, if it's construable as open world, we gotta talk about it. If you've played this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's the house you reach after beating the game for the first time. There's a lot of stuff that makes this place creepy. For one thing, there's nothing else like it anywhere else in the game. The entire game, you're exploring this weird ancient ruin, and suddenly You open a door and you're in this modernish looking house with light fixtures and a TV and a couch. It's really odd, and there's nothing actually dangerous here, but it's super uncanny to be in. Kind of a liminal-ish space. Its importance to the rest of the game makes it creepier. The place is full of little secrets, like the TV you can change channels on, and the mysterious locked door upstairs that requires a special key that can only be obtained by getting all the eggs in the game, which is its own complicated process. It's a mystery house with layers, and it plays an important part in getting all the endings of the game. And while the whole game has this kind of eerie atmosphere, this place dials up the strangeness. It's got this droning, slightly off music track playing while you're in the house, and all the many strange secrets. It's weird. And number 4 is Cyberpunk 2077, Room 301. Usually when I imagine a creepy house, I think of someplace isolated, deep in the woods, and far away from civilization. This entry is far from that. It's an apartment smack dab in the middle of Night City, but there's so many opportunities for creepy locations in the game, and this one delivers in absolutely every way. There's a seemingly abandoned apartment building in Haywood, with nothing in it identifying it as a place you can go into, but if you approach the doors, they'll open into nearly pitch black halls. The building, creepy enough on its own. You can seriously barely see anything here. But if you find the staircase and go up to floor 3, there's an especially unpleasant apartment. Normally you can only see through the cracks in the door. There is blood and indecipherable writing on the walls. It's an effectively creepy spot that feels like you're seeing something you're not supposed to. There's no way to actually get inside this place. It's meant to be closed off, but with a little cheating, you can peek inside and find there's writing and scribbling anywhere and a broken wrench on the floor. Maybe this place relates to another quest and I just don't know about it, or it's really just meant to be a creepy Easter egg. I don't know. It's almost creepier not knowing, honestly. And number 3 is Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree Midra's Mansion. Getting into this place is scarier than actually being there. You reach the classic Gothic mansion by going through a bunch of nearly unkillable monsters who are essentially horror monsters stray from a completely different genre of game. In contrast, the actual mansion has regular enemies, but that doesn't stop it from being creepy. It's just a sinister place. Everything's smoldering, dead bodies are left for display in the entrance, and little details are everywhere chronicling the House of Usher style history of death and madness in the mansion. It's by far the most traditional spooky house on the list, but it's not straight up horror either. There's no jump scares, it's actually fairly well lit, but it's still extremely creepy despite that. Where the base game only hinted at Lovecraft style eldritch horror, this place leans right into it. The entire mansion burns with the flames of frenzy that drive anyone who encounters it mad, and it's all in service of building up to the boss at the end of the mansion, which is one of the best and creepiest fights in the entire game. It's not an entry about the boss, it's about the house, so we won't get too far into that, but it's got everything you could want from a spooky mansion. It's got ghosts, giant rats, pitch black rooms, gigantic burning libraries. It's such a strange space. It's really hard to describe just how creepy it is, and just showing it doesn't do it justice. It's one of those things you really have to find it yourself to be truly unsettled by it. And number 2 is Oblivion, Scariest Skindred House. Bethesda are the undisputed kings of strangely creepy houses, and this is a good example of why. In Skindred, there's an unmarked and easily ignored house called Narastarl's house in the game files. There's no character named that in Oblivion, and it still counts as trespassing if you go inside. So what's up with that? The outside of the house looks completely normal, but when you go inside, it's clearly been abandoned for years. It's dark and disheveled, dungeon music plays when you're inside, and for some reason, it's got zombies. Nobody in town mentions the house. There's nothing else anywhere that references it. It's just a really creepy place to wander into by mistake that serves no other function than being an extremely creepy place to wander into by mistake. It's the perfect example of that kind of house. It's spooky enough on its own, but the lack of detail, the mystery of what this place actually is and why it's here, it's never answered. And those are things that make a generic zombie house and make it really memorable, especially in a game where, there is a lot of lore about. And finally, at number 1 is Fallout 3's Plunger Room of Death. This innocuously titled shelter, one of many unmarked areas in the game. It's bizarre. I think the devs were going for goofy, but it's so strange that under the right circumstances, it's less funny and more just straight up creepy. You'd think something like a trail of plungers that start at the door, climb the walls, and go up to the ceiling would just be funny, but the bloody handprint and the nearby skeleton, combined with the already creepy interiors of Fallout 3, make this whole area come off as disturbingly weird. There's a statue head that couldn't possibly fit in there normally, a fridge full of human skulls, and a garden gnome with syringes stuck in its head, eyes in hands, etc. There's mannequins everywhere. There's a plunger statue on a surgeon's table. It's really, really weird. I think it will probably leave most people freaked out entering it. Fallout 3 is one of those games where, even though it's not really all that scary, it leaves you feeling paranoid and kind of jumpy after playing it for extended periods of time. I blame the creepy ambient music when you're exploring buildings, combined with the creepy green glow off your Pip-Boy light. Obviously, there's probably more to it, but whatever secret sauce this game has, it's just able to feel freaky even though you're basically not in danger most of the time. That's the power of Fallout 3, and the way they just hide these bizarre little secrets around the world only makes the experience creepier, even in parts like this where I'm pretty sure it's just supposed to be goofy. And that's all for today. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications, and as always, thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter, Falcon Hero. We'll see you next time right here on Game Ranks.